I stood there, a cold glass of bourbon in my hand, listening to this man describe the secret weekends he spent with his married lover, completely unaware that the woman in the photograph he was kissing was my wife of 12 years. He didn't know who I was, but by the end of this night, he would never forget my name. My name is David, and I have always considered myself a man of stability. My life was a well-oiled machine, or so I thought. My wife, Elena, was a senior executive at a high-end marketing firm. She was brilliant, beautiful, and seemingly devoted. We had the house, the dog, and the plans for a future that looked like a postcard. But postcards are flat, one-dimensional things that hide the reality of what is behind them. The invitation came on a Tuesday. It was for the annual corporate gala, a black-tie affair held at a sprawling estate on the outskirts of the city. Elena had been stressed for weeks, citing a massive project that required her to stay late almost every night. I didn't question it. Why would I? Trust was the foundation of our marriage. I arrived late because of a closing meeting at my own firm. I walked into the ballroom, the air thick with the scent of expensive perfume and the hum of artificial laughter. I scanned the room for Elena, but she was nowhere to be seen. I headed toward the bar, needing a drink to settle the strange unease that had been gnawing at my gut all day. That is where I met Marcus. He was leaning against the mahogany bar, looking like a man who owned the world. He was handsome in a way that felt aggressive, sharp jawline, tailored suit, and eyes that moved quickly, looking for the next conquest. We started talking, the way strangers do at these events. I didn't mention my name or my connection to the company. I just said I was with the firm. He took that to mean I was a fellow employee. Within 10 minutes, the alcohol had loosened his tongue. He started bragging. He talked about his success, his car, and then, with a predatory glint in his eye, he talked about his hidden gem. He pulled out his phone, laughing about how some men are too blind to see what is right in front of them. He showed me a picture. It was Elena. She was laughing, her head tilted back, wearing a silk robe I had bought her for our last anniversary. She wasn't at a corporate retreat in Chicago that weekend. She was with him. The world didn't stop. It didn't blur. It became hyper-focused. I could see every bead of sweat on Marcus's forehead. I could hear the ice clinking in his glass like a funeral knell. I realized in that moment that my entire life was a lie, constructed by the person I loved most. But I didn't scream. I didn't throw a punch. I did something much, much worse. I asked him to tell me everything. Marcus was more than happy to oblige. He was a narcissist, and narcissists love an audience. He spoke about their stolen moments in the office supply room, the late-night dinners that I thought were business meetings, and the weekend getaways that were funded by our joint savings account. Every word he spoke was a serrated blade cutting through my memories. I realized that for the last 18 months, I had been living with a ghost. The woman who kissed me goodbye every morning was a character Elena played. The real Elena was the woman Marcus was describing, a woman who was bored, restless, and incredibly cruel. As he spoke, I began to formulate a plan. I wasn't going to just leave her. I was going to dismantle the life she had built on the wreckage of my heart. I kept him talking for an hour. I learned about the offshore account she was using to hide money. I learned about the promotion she had sabotaged for a colleague who suspected her. Most importantly, I learned where they were meeting after the gala. Marcus thought he was sharing a bro moment with a stranger. He didn't realize he was handing me the ammunition for his own destruction. I excused myself, my heart pounding a steady rhythm of cold, calculated revenge. I found Elena across the room. She looked radiant in a red dress. When she saw me, her eyes widened for a split second, a flicker of fear. No, it was annoyance. She glided over, her smile practiced and perfect. "David, you finally made it," she said, her voice like honey. She reached out to touch my arm, and I felt a physical revulsion so strong I had to clench my jaw to keep from pulling away. "I've been looking for you," I said, my voice steady. I just had the most interesting conversation with a man named Marcus. The color drained from her face so fast, it was as if a plug had been pulled. She tried to maintain the mask, but the cracks were forming. "Marcus? I don't know who that is. There's so many people here, David." I smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. "Oh, I think you do. He was just telling me about your weekend in the Hamptons." The one where you were supposedly at the leadership conference. She opened her mouth to speak, to lie, to manipulate, but I held up a hand. Not here, Elena. The show must go on, right? Let's enjoy the party. I left her standing there, trembling in her expensive shoes. For the next 3 hours, I played the part of the doting husband. I introduced her to partners, I toasted her success, and I watched her slowly unravel as she realized I knew everything. I watched Marcus from across the room, watching us. He was confused. He saw me with her, and the gears were finally turning. The realization hit him like a freight train. The stranger at the bar was the husband. The blind man was standing right in front of him. The climax of the evening occurred during the keynote speech. The CEO was praising the team's integrity and dedication. I had slipped away to the AV booth earlier, under the guise of helping with a special presentation Elena had prepared. I had Marcus's phone. I'd lifted it from his pocket during a crowded moment near the buffet. I knew his passcode. He'd used it right in front of me at the bar. I uploaded the photos. I uploaded the voice recordings I had taken of bragging. I uploaded the bank statements I had accessed through our shared home computer during a bathroom break. As the CEO said the words, "And now a look at the leaders of our future," the giant screens behind him flickered to life. It wasn't a slideshow of marketing metrics. It was Marcus and Elena. It was the evidence of their embezzlement from the firm. It was the photos of their trysts. The room went silent. It was a silence so heavy it felt like it would crush the floorboards. Elena stared at the screen, her social standing evaporating in real time. Marcus tried to run, but security, whom I had alerted to suspicious financial activity earlier, was already waiting at the exits. I walked onto the stage. The CEO looked at me in horror. I didn't look at him. I looked at Elena. "You told me you wanted a life that everyone would talk about," I said into the microphone, my voice echoing through the hall. "I think you finally got your wish." The chaos that followed was beautiful. The police arrived within minutes. It turns out, when you embezzle 7 figures from a global marketing firm, they don't just fire you, they ruin you. I watched as they were let out in handcuffs, the red dress and the tailored suit now looking like costumes from a tragic play. In the months that followed, the divorce was quick. I didn't want a cent of her tainted money. I wanted her gone. She lost everything. Her job, her reputation, her freedom. Marcus took a plea deal and turned on her, but it didn't save him. They both ended up in federal prison. I moved out of the city. I bought a small house by the ocean. Sometimes I sit on the porch with a glass of bourbon and think about that night. People ask me if I regret being so public with the destruction. I tell them no. When someone burns down your house while you're sleeping inside, you don't owe it to them to put out the fire quietly. You let the world see the smoke. I learned that trust is a gift, not a right. And I learned that the most dangerous person in the room isn't the one who is shouting. It's the one who is listening. If you enjoyed this story of justice and betrayal, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more intense life stories. Have you ever discovered a secret that changed everything? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay vigilant.